Hey everyone, today I'm going to share with you a different kind of bird feeder. Now, normally I try to order them in your first bird feeder, second, third. This one is completely optional, um, so I wouldn't put it in a certain order. But it's going to be these here. These are mealworm feeders. The mealworms go in the dish. This acts as kind of a squirrel deterrent. Um, they're not completely squirrel proof, but it is hard to for a squirrel to completely raid the food. But a squirrel will, twist and contort however he needs to be able to reach the food inside. So they're not completely squirrel proof, but it is a little bit of a challenge, and it does take a little bit longer for them to completely raid the food if that's what they're going to do. Um, of these two, I would recommend this one here because this one, the blue dish, it does make it hard to see the birds inside. So this is the actual Audubon brand, and I got it from Amazon. Um, so the reason why this is a completely optional bird feeder is I got these specifically for bluebirds because that was a bird that I wanted in my yard. So um, that kind of brings me into why I even started feeding birds to begin with. I have a pear tree in my backyard, and uh, I'd be lucky if I get one or two pairs a year. The squirrels get most of them. So, just from what I've seen of blue jays attacking my dog and stuff, swooping down and attacking my dog, I was wondering if there's a bird that will keep squirrels away or will fight off squirrels, kind of have a natural security system for my pear tree. Um, and I looked it up, and it's bluebirds. Bluebirds kind of have a certain rivalry against squirrels in particular. Um, so, long story short, it is true. I have seen blue jays, mockingbirds, and bluebirds all running off squirrels. Um, but it didn't really work as a security system like I had hoped. I didn't get any pairs this year, so the squirrels still got the lion's share of the pairs. But now I'm invested in this bird feeding thing, and so I got a hobby out of the whole trial and error. But bluebirds will run off squirrels. I've seen it, which is great to watch. If you hate squirrels as much as I do, it's great to see the squirrel, just the panic on its face as it's getting like wailed on by this little tiny bluebird. That was so satisfying to watch. So anyway, now I'm feeding birds. I still fill this one. Um, so if you're not particular in what kind of birds you want coming to your yard, this one, like I said, is completely optional. Especially because bluebirds will eat from this. I have seen it, but the way bluebirds eat is they, get from a high limb, or I put shepherd's hooks out there especially for them. Um, they'll get from a high place and they'll dive into the grass and get live bugs and worms and things like that. So they will eat at this, but they will always prefer to dive into the grass. Um, but it is still another food source for them, so they'll still use it. But another thing to keep in mind is this will not bring bluebirds to your yard. To do that, I put out a nesting box for one thing. I put out shepherd's hooks to act as hunting perches for them. Every morning, I would put out a handful of mealworms, dried mealworms, for them. And then if I saw them like across the street, maybe if I saw some bluebirds, I would actually take my phone outside and play bluebird calls on YouTube, to try and bring them to my backyard. And eventually it did. So I had to do all of that to bring bluebirds to my yard. So this by itself will not do the trick. That's another reason why it's completely optional. But one thing I do like about this one is, as you can see, I already have food in it. They make some suets that have a hole through them. They're actually cylinder shaped. And this one I cut in half, but you can either put mealworms in the dish part of it, or you can, you can put a suet cake in there through the, through the hole in the cylinder, and screw it down that way. That makes it a little bit more harder for a squirrel to eat your food, because they have to get more in there, and they can't just grab what's in the dish. They have to really put some extra effort into getting any food off of the cylinder. Now that it's getting closer to winter, I find more that wrens are what's eating at this feeder. So, like I said, if you're not particular about what kind of birds, you get bluebirds in the spring and summer, and wrens more in the fall and winter. So you will get some year-round use out of this kind of feeder. So let me know if there's a certain kind of food that you like to use in your mealworm feeder, or if you have any recommendations on how to optimize it any better to get better use out of it. One thing to remember though is, with bluebirds, the magic number is 1.5 inches. If you get a nest box, you want to make sure that the hole in the front is only 1.5 inches in diameter. Likewise, this, you want to make sure that from the top of the dish to the bottom of the dome is only about 1.5 inches. That way it does make it's an extra step in trying to keep squirrels away. So only the smaller birds like wrens and bluebirds will be able to get up into it. So yeah, like I said, let me know if there's a special way that you like to use these kind of feeders. Let me know if there's a food that you recommend that I use. But other than that, I hope you have fun with this, and thanks for watching.